I'm Mike, welcome to the workshop. Now if you follow my videos, you may have recalled a few weeks ago I made this basic joiner's mallet. Laminated joiner's mallet made out of 3 pieces of red deal. It's a very simple, easy project. If you haven't done it, I'll put a link up here. But I think it's time for a bit of an upgrade. And because I've went through the details of this with the angles and all before, this is just going to be kind of a grab a cup of tea and watch along video. So do that. But basically, with a joiner's mallet, you have the head, and in the head is cut an angle piece. I'll just zip in there. So it's wider at the top than it is at the bottom. The handle has a matching angle, and when the two slide together, you have a matched head and handle. So this is a bit soft. You can see it's beat to hell. It's not heavy. So I decided to upgrade it. Make one using this piece of feather-light teak. So yeah, teak is a hardwood, much harder, much heavier, and it'll serve this head a lot longer. So really all there is to this is, rather than making it in 3 pieces, I'm going to bore out the hole, hand cut the mortise to give me that angle inside. This is greatly exaggerated, but the V will be inside here, and then I'm going to just use a piece of ash for the handle. So grab yourself that cup of tea, sit back and enjoy the music I'm going to select for you. Right, let's get started with this. Oh, I'll also put in a snapshot of the drawing of this up in the top corner so you can kind of get an idea of the dimensions and such. Okay, let's get going. So as you may have seen in the intro there, I already have this marked out. I want to get as much out of this as I can, so I'm going to cut this pretty close to the edge. I like the width that I have on this, so the current width on this one is 125. So I'm going to keep that width, and for the moment I have the length marked the same, or the depth. I may increase that, but first thing to do is to get noisy and cut this out roughly on the bandsaw. I'll probably use shop saw actually. Now this is obviously considerably thicker, and I'm going to leave it at this thickness of the raw piece, and see, because it's just piece timber, I can always cut the cheeks off to make this smaller if it's a bit too big or unwieldy. So, music time!
So I take my dimensions off my existing handle because I know it works, the angle is good, and I take a record of all these, so if in the future I want to make a new one, I don't have to think about it, I have the sizes, and if you freeze frame right now, you can do the same. So marking the actual angles of the mortise on the face are very important because this is what I'm going to use as my reference when I'm hand cutting my mortise. So I'll keep my tool in line with that or slightly above it, and then that'll give me a reference point, so it should be pretty clear inside. But this is just more of the same, so skippy musicy time. So when cutting a deep mortise like this, you really do need to make sure that your piece is well secured. I'm using a holdfast here because I set my bench to work with holdfast. A normal clamp will of course work perfectly. After this then, if you've seen my videos before, you know how I do mortises. I hog out the most of the material with the drill and then finish it by hand. So that's what I do.
Batteries are only useful if they have electricity in them. Oh well. Time for a bit of elbow grease. This, on the other hand, won't run out of power. I wag well though. Yeah, there was a reason they invented those. I'll give you the James Bond view. Can't complain about that. Even a mill out.
Ideally, you would want a mortise chisel to do this, but I actually don't own one. I'll put an image of a mortise chisel up in the corner here so you can see. But basically, a mortise chisel is designed to be driven in and create the mortise the same width as itself. So it is square edges, as opposed to the bevel edges that you see on a Western or Japanese chisel. But my Japanese chisels are very thick and they can handle this, so I'm going to use my Japanese chisel to cut my mortise. So basically, if you're cutting a mortise like this, what you need to do is size the mortise to the size of the chisel you have, and basically that's going to create your width. And then you slowly chip your way across the width and then clean the edges down as you go in. Now this does take a while, so there will be some clever editing. As I mentioned during the markup phase, the lines on the face are very important here. As I'm cutting this mortise, I'm using those lines as a reference for where I'm cutting down, and I'm actually cutting slightly away from it, so I end up with like a hill in the middle that I will then clean out so I have a perfectly smooth side. Important announcement. Japanese chisels are designed to be used with metal hammers. Do not use metal hammers on Western style wooden handled chisels, or you will be haunted by the ghosts of woodworkers past and present. Thank you. So once I have the mortise roughed out, I switch over to my longer Western style chisels. I just feel these give me a bit more control because we want to make sure that that angle inside is perfectly flat and running correctly. Now luckily I do happen to have a very long chisel that was designed for making blocks and tackles, so I've made that job very easy. But when all of that is done and we're ready to go, I just switch over to my handle making process.
So, thank you for bearing with me, and now it's time for everyone's favourite time. Obligatory Danish oil time. a traditional joiner's mallet. And boy is it a beastie, it's the manure of joiner's mallets. This thing, I think, is going to serve me for decades. There's a great heft to it. You know, it's angled beautifully, so all the weight is going down onto the top of the chisel. It posts beautifully, which is what a joiner's mallet is meant to do. I mean, when you compare it to the kind of entry level one, I mean, you can see the difference there. You know, the joinery and the work that goes into it. But of course, you can make one of these. I will up there using the lamination method, which gets you a great mallet really quickly. But this is just a bit of fun, and it's good practice for mortising. But I also had to come up with some projects to use this baby in. So thank you all for watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, absolutely do try this at home. Oh, and one more thing. In case you were wondering, this one weighs 740 grams. This one weighs 330 grams. I'll see you using this. Maybe I might need to take a bit out of it. My normal mallets are in around 600 grams. So, bye. Really hard to say manure, isn't it? I could say Thor's hammer. Should I put that in the description? You know, clickbait. Thor's hammer. It's not Thor's hammer. It's a really nice joiner's mallet. It weighs a ton too. I love this.